This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Jono Zalay. Yeah, he's a neuroscientist turned stand-up comedian. So we have some well thought out ideas about what to do about climate change. Also, we think that politicians and news anchors should be able to bet their life on the things that they're saying. And then we decide as a group that high school reunions should be mandatory. It's a great episode. Here we go. Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. I'm very excited for our guest. This is a first for us to have a former neuroscientist turned comedian. So I'm excited for what we're going to hear today. Welcome, Jono Zalay.
Hey, everyone.
Oh,
Glad to be here.
they're clapping at home.
Spread these horrible ideas I have. I think them contained. I'm glad someone has a receptacle for them.
You're like, what was I supposed to do with all these? Perfect. Well, we do like to start with your good ideas so that everyone knows you haven't only had crazy bad ideas. So, a hilarious stand-up comedian. You've been on Comedy Central, Comics to Watch. You've been a writer for shows on Amazon, Fox, Comedy Central. And you have a new album coming out. Well, today, April 1st, April Fools. That's kind of funny. But Midnight Oil is what it's called. And I'm very excited. And we've worked together a few times. Actually, when I first started really going on the road and stuff, we just ran into each other in, I think it was like New Orleans or something. And
yeah, one of those like festivals or what have you. And
yeah. And I thought you were hilarious. So happy to have you. And you have plenty of good ideas. But that's not really what we want to hear about. So when I sent you the criteria, what did you think of?
When you what?
When I sent you the criteria, what did you think of? What did you come up with?
The like every person who's never had to face real adversity in his life, I want to solve like the world's problems, which means like I spent a lot of time thinking about like, here's how I'd tackle global warming. and I was just like trying to think, it's like, oh, what's the problem? Like, let's see, all of our ice caps are melting on the poles, right?
Yes.
We have too much trash in our oceans, and styrofoam plastics, they don't dissolve. But what do the poles need to do that provides us with those protection from global warming is reflect the sun. So we take that garbage patch that's just floating in the middle of the Pacific, we throw a big net around it, drag it up to the North Pole, and put the styrofoam on top. It's white. It reflects the sun. It's like kind of a double way. Like we're getting the garbage out from the middle of the ocean, putting it like right on our roof where we need it to reflect the sun, and that will, keep us from absorbing the sun's rays and heating the planet at a more rapid rate.
That is actually, I mean, that's pretty, that's pretty well thought out. And that's
that's the thing is I spend too much time on unfeasible bad ideas that like are for a noble cause for sure.
Right.
But,
it's like good intentions for sure.
Yeah. Just thinking about just dumping all of our, excess packing materials from Amazon into the Arctic Ocean. Just like, hey, polar bears and sea lions. Here's some fake ice for you to try to swim on.
I was gonna say it's almost like because you're like, oh wait, it's melting. Well, we'll just rebuild it, but with these other materials,
biodegradable material. The styrofoam's not melting; it's not degrading at all.
It's not gonna go anywhere.
It's just killing all the whales, and their carcasses will be absorbed into the trash pile. That's keeping our planet cooler.
I mean, it's not too bad. So, will you give everyone a little background on the neuroscience part of what?
Oh, sure, yeah. I went to BU for neuroscience, and I studied drug addiction specifically. So I gave cocaine to rats. Another great idea. So I studied like what regions of the brain are required to like learn to get off of cocaine.
I see.
So you're all welcome. I solved the cocaine crisis.
Yeah, and obviously that.
But the solution was, turns out, just give them opiates. Then they have a different problem to solve.
I thought, okay, yeah. That
So
would
see
be
how we transitioned away from cocaine and onto opiates? You're welcome.
Yeah, they're not doing cocaine now, these rats. But, well, that's, yeah, I mean, your bios often say, I gave cocaine to rats, which is just a funny, like, that seems like, because you could pitch anything poorly, you know, even though that would be, you know, you're still obviously gathering a lot of information that you needed at the time. But if you're just like, what if we gave rats drugs? Like, it sounds silly, but it's, but you
hear me out. It sounds like I'm on cocaine right now, but like, we don't want the humans to do it. Let's give it to let's take it from the humans, give it to the rats. They use it all up. But yeah, actually, it's funny. I have my actual doctorate
on the wall,
right behind me. There it is. Go Terriers.
Good. Now we actually believe you because we.
Yeah.
Are they the terriers? Really? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the Boston Terrier.
Yeah, Boston Terrier.
Is an actual breed, so I guess they thought that was cute.
That is funny.
And it is. They're a cute dog.
They are a cute dog.
Okay.
Okay.
Like the athletic pug.
All right. Sorry, I got a little distracted by cocaine and rats because I needed to hear that actual pitch. That's funny. Okay, so we recreate the ice caps, at least one of them, with styrofoam, and I'm wondering. See, now I'm not a scientist, but I am a classy person, so I've often used styrofoam coolers. And I'm wondering if that would kind of, you know, it would reflect the sun this way and then keep the actual ice cap itself colder. Is that
insulate it?
Insulate?
Too, yeah. Okay. Throw it on top. There you go.
I'm very supportive of everyone's bad ideas on here. So
it's funny. Like as I'm working through this, like obviously I was thinking like, oh, the styrofoam floats already, so we just throw it in the ocean up there and like just keep a big net around it. But like Antarctica is a landmass. And like once the glaciers melt off of that, like we could just actually put it on land, and it wouldn't have to like
float in
the ocean and or the things, and then we could just keep a fence around it. So all the I don't think the polar bears live on the South Pole, but whatever animals survive our coming climate apocalypse, they wouldn't have to rummage through the trash. We could just put a fence around it.
Yeah, this is such interesting timing, and I don't know why this has happened to me. In the last 3 weeks, I've become extremely paranoid about the climate. Not that I wasn't aware and paying attention and doing what I think would be my part, but I don't know if it really does anything. But for some reason, it's felt very, I'm dreading. It feels accelerated all of a sudden. I don't know if.
It's really depressing because we just also found out that Joe Manchin, the one person that could potentially help the world get off of coal, and he makes millions from a coal plant that he refuses to shut down. So it's I don't know if he's going to vote to give himself less millions of dollars to save the planet.
That's usually the problem.
When the UN climate report came out 4 years ago now, in 2018, that was when I was working on that show for Amazon. And the show I was writing for was about the global economy. It's called This Might Be It Is the Global Economy. And it was supposed to be the docuseries version of The Big Short. It was produced by Adam McKay. And they the thing I learned in writing it was that all of the world's problems, like global warming, are potentially solvable. But the thing that's getting in the way is global corruption because of the economy. And so it's man, to get hit with the UN climate report and then find out how every leader around the world is corrupt and greedy was not a good blow to my psyche.
Well, I feel very powerless because it's I don't even know how you go about changing that. I know that it's not really us, it's these bigger corporations or billionaires, whatever, but how do we get to them and say, because they don't give a fuck, I don't think. I mean,
no, of course not. They would rule in hell. That's the thing, is they're making a Satan's bargain, where it's as long as I have the biggest castle in the apocalypse.
Adam McKay, did he do that movie?
Don't Look Up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did that too. Okay, that's funny because I was
Well,
like, that's
he
dead
clearly
on.
cares about this stuff. He's like super big nerd about all the, you know, climate stuff and, you know, the robber barons that are poisoning the earth.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, because I mean, I watched that movie and I really liked it, and I think it was pretty dead on. Of like,
Oh God,
they don't care because it doesn't affect them. You know, like they would be the ones who would get out, kind of thing. And I mean, obviously, he did it in a funny way, but you're like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, Elon Musk is building that rocket to Mars, and it's not for us.
Yeah, no,
it's for him and his buddies.
Okay, but for us, we just collect all the styrofoam out of the ocean and move it up to the ice caps.
And the other mechanism I would have to like, it's unenforceable, but the other bad idea I have, like, you know how we back in medieval times they used to have trial by combat.
Yeah.
I would have reboot a different version, a little bit less exciting to watch, I guess, and less absolutely brutal. But like there'd be a sort of bet your life on it like exception.
Sounds like
where like every politician that like denies global warming and like is taking money from fossil fuels is like, if they claim in a public official forum in their role as senator or president, whatever it is, that global warming isn't a threat, we get to challenge them. It's like, oh yeah, bet your life on it. And then they, even if it's not their like actual life where they die if they were wrong, if they were proven wrong by like a panel of scientists and stuff like that, they have to forfeit all of their assets and their family's assets. That's the other thing, is like, you have to think, because all of them are saying was like, as long as me and my family are protected with our millions of intergenerational wealth, they're fine sending the rest of us down the river. But if like they are risking all of that, I feel like we could challenge them to like the modern equivalent of a duel. And really...
I mean, I like that idea a lot for not even just for climate change, but if they're, you know, some like stance that whatever is just partisan or whatever, you know, I think a lot of politicians just go along with whatever they're supposed to, and do they really believe it or not? I don't even know if they think too hard about it. But if you put this in there, then maybe they would think harder about it.
The thing that made me kind of think about it is like, there is a backdoor bet your life on it that's about the vaccine. Which is like,
that's true.
You're like, oh, the vaccine's fake and poison. Well, you've just bet your life on that.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them have lost that wager. But like even the people who are like spouting the you know, trutherism about it, like on Fox News or whatever, if they had to like, because all of the Fox News hosts have been vaccinated and boosted.
I think all of the Republicans have, but
they know better than that. But like, if they are going to lie about it in that way, they can still somehow they should be like given COVID
okay,
as a punishment. Like, for every person that doesn't take the vaccine because of them and dies, they should also have to suffer either financially or health wise.
I honestly think for that, you're just onto something in that if you were putting your own money and your own wealth on the line, I just think there would be different
consequences.
Results.
Like it's a different calculus when you're like, it's like, who cares if the world like sea levels rise, or like, I live in Nebraska, whatever. But like, if they're risking their own money and family's stability, then I think they would think twice about it.
Their money is their favorite thing. That reminds me of, we were posed this question in, I think like my sophomore year English class or something in high school, and it was if you were forced to, it was like 100 people you knew would die, or like 1 million you didn't, or something. I don't know if it was 1 million, but a lot more people that you didn't know, and you know, which one would you choose, kind of thing. And it feels similar to that, and that, which is such a weird, like, you'd think you would try and choose people that would consider you know, global well-being instead of just themselves.
Now that like we're a little older, like as a man in my late 30s, like I don't have 100 people I know and like anymore.
So, you're like, sure.
Sorry.
I mean, it does. Yeah, you get a much smaller circle. I guess asking a high school student that is a little different.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my classmates, my beloved friends that I'm
Yeah,
sure I'll be lifelong friends with.
exactly. All 30 of this people in this classroom that I like. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Uh,
But the money. I think you're onto
yeah.
something. See, this is the hard part about this show. You guys talk me into stuff where I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I don't know how we would enforce that, but I like it.
hmm
I
Yeah.
do
And
like.
like, I actually think now that I'm thinking about the high school classmates, I feel like your high school reunions should be mandatory or like a prison sentence. Like you should be forced to see like the same people who had the same education and grew up around you, like what has become of their life and like what is their worldview and where did they go wrong or where did you go wrong?
Yeah.
To try to solve these societal problems. It should be like scared straight.
It
But
is mind blowing to me sometimes that I have the same education as some of the people that I do. I mean,
mhm,
especially during this time where you can see more of what people actually think and
mhm,
everyone's posting and has an opinion about things. And yeah,
mhm.
I mean, I went to public school and people seem to think that makes a difference, but I think that only makes a difference in that we had varying religious backgrounds because private
Sure.
schools
Yeah.
usually are a religious school. So,
Or waspies.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did go to a Catholic college,
Okay.
but even there was only like half of the students were Catholic, but which is still way more than my high school.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, during this time that I would just see some posts from people like I went to high school with and stuff, and I'm like, really? We went?
hmm
Oh my gosh, I have to tell the story. I told the other day. It was kind of a bit for a second, but then I think it was just too real for me. Someone who I was like friends with, who's actually older than me in high school. I think she was a junior when I was a freshman. We hung out again in college, just kind of, in a bar or whatever. And um, I don't know why. I really don't know why. But she didn't know what Nazis were, like didn't know anything about World War II, which I feel like is one of the most like talked about history points
Yeah.
in.
It's like we all have a master's in our World War II
Yeah,
history.
exactly. And even if you didn't pay attention in school, there's like a million documentaries and it's like a thing that people talk about. And she was like, "Well, I don't know." And I was like, that's what she said. She's like, "I don't know, I'm from Renton, which is where we're from, and it's not like that bad of a place, but it's not known as like, oh, wealthy and higher educated." And I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm from the same place and I went to your same high school. Like, what are you talking about?" And she goes, "Yeah, but you keep up on politics." I was like, from
So
1945.
like when everyone in like on TV is like accusing each other, they did think like you learned about it from like when they were accusing Obama of being Hitler. It's like I
Yeah,
didn't pay
even
attention to
then. Yeah, even
that.
then that would have been. And I'm
What's
sure
that
she just,
mustache on him? I just see the memes.
yes, I'm sure then she's just like, I don't even know what you thought any of that was about then even. It's
Yeah,
so,
right. Did
yeah,
you not
she's,
get these references about why
yeah, at all.
no one else has that mustache?
Why is everyone called Hitler every 4 years? What does that even mean? She's like, don't even know. And I also like don't even really keep up on politics, so that argument doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. But whatever. Oh, but it is like it's just a bigger discrepancy, especially coming out of high school. I think
Mhm.
than you realize at the time, because you can still conversate and have friendships and stuff with people that eventually you go, oh, we're not even close to the same level of intelligence, and I just didn't even notice.
Right. I
And
mean,
the other way, like I went to school with two people who went to MIT, and I'm just like, I don't even know how we talked. Like, how did you talk
right.
to me? Like, I'm so stupid compared to you. But
Yeah. The like it's interesting too to see like not just the people who are smart and dumb, but like the way that like I guess different filter bubbles have warped people's minds. Like I'm sure we all have a little bit skewed in version of the reality based on the way that information works these days. But like to see someone like the one of the high school classmates I was hoping to see at the reunion was like a gal I was not close with, but like knew, and she a nurse, like a worked in hospitals, and I just posted something about the vaccine because like a comedy club I was working, like, was also posting on their marquee about a local COVID case or whatever. And I was like, hey, get your vaccine so you don't have to like be on a marquee for almost dying. And she's like, no, you just need to wash your hands. Vaccines are poison. I was like, you work in a hospital.
Oh God. Oh no.
Like, please never care for my parents.
Yeah, no.
And she like she blocked me eventually because I promised that because she was forced to take the vaccine. She works in a hospital, which is like the right policy.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you die of the vaccine, I will start a foundation in your honor, and and your children will be taken care of. Don't worry about it.
That's bet your life on it right there. That's...
Exactly. And she didn't show up to the reunion, and I presumed dead of vaccine.
There you go.
So now
you have to start a foundation.
The only nurse to die of vaccine foundation.
I kind of like the mandatory class reunion as another pitch because I think it could be good and bad in so many different ways, and it just brings you back to a level, because I did go to my 10-year reunion, and just the discrepancy of like people aged faster than I anticipated, and some didn't, whatever. Some, guy that was thin and loved playing basketball is like, bald and it's got a beer belly and stuff. And I was like, I gotta think about that. Like, my dad was...
High school Shaq?
That's the only person that liked basketball was Shaq. I wish. I would be a lot older though, but anyways. But yeah, and people are already being married and already having kids and things like that versus what my life was at the time or what my friends was. It's interesting, and it just gives you perspective on, like, I had a friend who was already divorced and like really not having a good time with mother of his children and stuff, and it was just stuff that I didn't anticipate having to deal with at 28. And so I think it is a good, like, puts it in perspective. And unfortunately,
a little bit of like, here's what could have happened if you'd made different choices.
Yeah,
good and bad.
Right. So that could make you feel better about some of the things that you've done. And I'm sure it would do both. It would, the more successful people, you go, oh fuck, I should have used my degree or whatever. Or the other people where you're like, okay, well, at least I have enough ambition and drive to have accomplished some things or whatever it is. Or a lot of it makes me go, and I don't know why I think about this person in particular, but she started working at Red Robin when we were in like our junior year in high school, and is still there, and is like, like worked her way up and stuff, and is very happy, and has a kid that she did have when she was really young, but they seem fine. And like the perspective of like staying in your hometown, working at a restaurant, like how that's such a bad thing, but she seems happy. So it's like, just to be like, we're overanalyzing things too much. So you should be forced to see all the different scenarios that come from your high school class.
Yeah, it's like a multiverse version of yourself.
The multiverse. That should be the theme of my 20-year reunion is the multiverse. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I think, okay, so great ideas. We're really trying to solve some problems here, I think. I bet your life on it for politicians, or life savings, I suppose that too. Using the excess styrofoam and trash to recover parts of the ice cap, which is not, we've heard some ideas about dealing with the trash in the ocean on this show. And I don't think, most of them are just like shoot it into space. But this is real.
It's a real cure-all. Shoot it into space. That's what, you have anxiety, shoot it into space.
You shoot your anxiety into space. That seems like a good like visualization practice. Be like, imagine putting your anxiety into a rocket. And shooting it into space. And of course, mandatory high school reunions. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you to follow you, and tell them more about your album?
Yeah. So first thing, if you want to like find my album and download it or listen to it, stream, whatever it is, I bought a few URLs, because you know how you can do like dot whatever now.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
if you like dot golf or what have you. I bought a few URLs that I thought would be easier because like all the websites are so impossible if you have like a
Yeah.
specific like QR code, all that shit. So I bought Bible.recipes, which I feel like it's simple and easy to remember. So
Okay. Bible.recipes.
Bible.recipes and jokes.farm. And so you can find my album on those. It's also like it's prayer candle themed
Oh, nice.
cover
Yeah.
art for my album. I'll put it up there. Midnight Oil.
Oh, with the doggy too. Beautiful.
Yeah, my dog Larry.
Larry.
So yeah, find Midnight Oil at Bible.recipes. And you can find me at Jono Zalay. That's JONOZALAY. If you're watching, you can see it, whatever. I'm sure you guys will link. And then on pretty much every social media.
I don't know why I'm so excited to put Bible.recipes in the description of this video. Like, we were
Yeah,
like,
at first I was like, I'll just do it for the album promo and keep it for like a year. But now I'm thinking like maybe that'll just be my website.
It's just
now.
your website. I mean, that's a fun, on stage during your pitch kind of thing. Hey, you want to see me again? Bible.recipes. And people are like, really?
Find me on Bible.recipes.
Or was it joke.farm?
Joke.farm.
That's a pretty good idea. I mean, way to really end on a strong note here with the websites. Well, if you are enjoying the show, which you should be, you can subscribe on YouTube or rate and review Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you use to listen. Keep listening, and I appreciate that. And follow Jono. And right now, you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.